Right, right.
Don't you love that?
Yeah, I love it, and I love the fact that I'm trying to send all the passwords because the passwords because Liz didn't send the link. It's a long story.
Of course you did.
So I'm trying to go through all the emails, and I lost track of where it was.
Oh, sorry.
Shit, I don't know who I sent the last email to. All right.
She doesn't make this easy, does she?
Well, I was trying to take some of it, but I thought she was gonna. Sorry. I mean,
I understand. Huh? Really?
all right. So I sent it to her.
Well, I just wanted to let you know I'm kind of having a problem, and I know how to get into this stuff. So I was like, okay, I got a little mistake to do, so I get a little frustrated. So
There is no problem. You're right. I just need to keep my cool and not freak out because.
keep your cool. You're good. Just and I'm ready to go.
So,
So
um, maybe what I need to do is, what should I do? What I'm trying to do is individually send all of these to everybody.
can you not group send
I
one
can't.
link?
I can't. I kept. Okay, I'm not gonna get upset, but
No,
I
can you
sent
not?
the list to Liz for a reason.
Well, I guess
So
what
let's
I'm saying is,
communicate next time.
you have the list of all the emails, and you can take those emails and then just copy all those and just fire a new link and say this is the one.
Uh,
Just think it out loud.
yeah,
It's kind of like the
I
way
could
like
send it to you to do.
what's that?
I could send it to you.
Send me the
The email list. Let me
yeah,
export it. I'll export it right now. I'll send it to you.
and then what do I do? You want me to do with that?
All right, what you just said to do.
Well, I don't know.
What?
I can let everybody know. Will you send me the link?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
send me the link, and I'll send me the link and the email, and I guess I can push that out, right? I mean,
Please.
excuse me, got an
Great.
email out today. I'm waiting on you. I'm waiting on you. I'm refreshing.
List. That's good. That's good.
Yep, we
That's
got
good.
time. It's an urgent. It's an urgent life.
Okay. Right now to you.
Okay, and now
How?
I'm going to push it to every one with the link. Just give a second. So let me see what I got here. Good morning. In case you need access. Okay, there you go. So, here's the link of Human Beings. So am I able to? I am. So let's see here. I'm able to copy. Please let me copy this. Please let me copy this. So let me copy your link. Or not your link. Jeez. All the emails. I can't just. Okay, I want to download it. I'm doing this way.
Just forgot where I was again.
I'm sorry. I'm killing it.
No, it's okay. It's my fault. I mean,
No, that's all right. Tell me where you're
only
helping.
four.
So,
Okay, so they sent four. That means I've already sent it.
yeah, right. I thought you wanted to go. So now, there we go. Okay, now, here we go. I've got.
Progress. Progress. Because I need some
I'm
progress.
having. I'm having progress in copy. So now I'm going to copy all this to this. I'm going to send them that link.
Okay, so I don't need to continue to do what I'm doing, which is individually sending the links from the website, right?
Well, I don't think so. So I'm going to send it right now and see. There's all the people. Okay, and I'm going to say, here's the Zoom. You just sent me the Zoom uh, password, right?
Yeah. Don't you have the link? Do you have the link?
Uh,
Well, they should have the link. They should.
they should have the link.
I mean, do I need to send the link? Okay.
No, no, I don't think so. I am taking this and I'm now copying your access.
Yes, I did. Thank you, Larry. Good teamwork. No worries. Well, I've got Victoria in, I got Nelsa in, and I got James in.
I'm about to do this.
All right. Thanks, Larry.
We made it.
I might need some more espresso.
I
Can
think
you hear
so.
me okay?
Oh, yeah. I can even see you now, which is an improvement.
Here we go. This is for me. This is the big deal now. GSACC.
Hey, James, you got in okay, I see?
I did.
Good.
Big one this morning.
No sweat. I will assume that you are running the PowerPoint, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me make sure that I'm going to make you a co-host.
No, I'm gonna hang up.
Good idea.
Okay, I'm in. I'm in. Hallelujah.
It wasn't easy.
It beat Zoom this
Oh,
morning.
have mercy, as they say in Mississippi. Holy smokes.
I think I sweat a few pounds on that one.
I need a little, well, between Jen and I, the good news is we got the passwords out and the logins into everybody.
Several
So that's
times.
good. Jeez, man. All right. That was a little more work than I was expecting. Like, I just thought, oh, just come in, present a little bit, be done. Oh, no. Hey, Larry, can you
That's right.
send all of the passwords to everybody? Of course I can, right?
I didn't even get to put my makeup on.
You look fabulous.
Too early for makeup.
As I tell,
I don't wear it
my wife,
anyway.
you don't need makeup, honey. You're good. You're good. That's what I say.
I'm
to
doing
my
enough.
wife.
I'm doing enough laughter and stress this morning. I've got red cheeks naturally, so it's all good.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was fun, right, Jen?
Yeah. No
James,
problems.
look at this. How you doing, James? You looking fantastic.
Thank you. And I'm
Yes.
doing well. Just apparently I missed
You
all
got
the
this,
fun.
buddy.
Apparently I missed all the fun though.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's right. We should have called James in.
Oh yeah, James would love that as he's
We didn't
preparing
even-
for his.
Think about that.
Yeah. Well, the good news is we're in. So now we're
there's
just getting
no-
more people.
Oh,
Right.
yeah. And Denise is coming in.
Did you have trouble getting on or something?
No, everything was fine.
There's Denise, Liz.
Okay.
Lou.
How many people registered for this?
I think I have about 20.
Yeah.
It's a good number. I don't like it. It's good when it's not a huge number because then everybody has a chance to interact.
Yeah.
So far, I guess I'm
Well,
not-
that was fun. I'll have another.
Good
I'm not
morning,
seeing any,
Denise.
Denise, good to see you again.
Good to see you again, yes.
Didn't we just do this? I feel like.
It was like 12 hours ago or less,
Yeah.
I feel like, yes. Turn a light on here. There we go.
Did I make it host? Yeah, I did.
Did you guys hear that did you see the newsletter? We started a new committee. Tiffany and I started a pet health and wellness committee.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Super.
We're gonna have speakers and probably field trips and stuff. Yeah, it should be fun. We're sort of planning it now. But it's gonna be the second Thursday of the month. It's gonna be our general meetings, and then we might have some webinars and how-to kind of things, and should be fun. People can learn about their animals.
Okay, Denise, if you can.
It's
just keep an eye
8:31, so I
on-
guess we're waiting on new
If I
people.
can, you know what? My phone was charging. If I can, what, Jen?
If you can just keep an eye on people and let them in.
Letting people in?
I
Absolutely.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Need to get my phone off the charger. Oh, we got a little Robert
Yep.
Wade coming in.
All right.
You know, with my Google Pixel, it doesn't need charging every day anymore. So then I get on this weird schedule with it. So like I used to put my phone on charger every night and it was what I did. And now the Google Pixel lasts like a day and a half, but that,
Really?
yeah, but sometimes
Doesn't
it
seem-
falls at weird times and I'm like, darn it, I should have just stuck it on the charger. Things you get dependent on and things you forget about.
Yeah.
I use mine as my alarm clock, so I still kind of keep it. It sits on the wireless charger all night anyway. So, but
You know, I don't know if my Google Pixel has the wireless charging. I should probably find
um,
out.
yeah, I think I've had it for several. I think even my old. I guess I started with it back when I had the Google. Oh, what was the other one? It was like 3 phones ago though, but they had one that. But yeah.
Well, my Samsung always did, but yeah, this is my first Pixel, so.
Yeah, Google for it was like I think Nexus, I think was the name of it.
Oh, yeah, my husband had one of those.
And the idea was it was supposed to be kind of didn't have to wait for the vendor, for the service provider to come up with updates and stuff like that, and they completely botched it up. I mean, and it just they stopped updating it. It was like they completely just, I think this Pixel was kind of supposed to I guess learn from their mistakes or something, but I don't know.
We've got one more coming in, so.
Yeah, and Liz should be coming in shortly as well.
Okay. I'm gonna
I
grab
think
that.
Oh,
daylight
Liz.
si- I think
Liz.
I think
Who-
daylight
who
savings
invited
time
her?
is
Yeah, right.
up to everyone.
I actually did, as a matter of fact.
I did too.
It's like, wow. Everybody. So, yeah, there's Patty. Hi, Patty. Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, I was a little late.
Oh,
No, no
you're,
worries.
trust me, you're early.
Yes, we are all struggling from daylight savings, aren't we?
Yeah, right. You're an hour early, right? Or an hour later, one or the other. I don't know. Whatever.
Here comes Tommy.
Thanks, Denise.
Tom, good morning.
But is
Morning.
Good morning. Now we can all begin. The man with the plan has arrived. Sorry for being.
Oh, wow.
Oh, where were you 10 minutes ago, man?
Yeah, right. Where were you 10 minutes ago? We could have used your help as we were
Like I,
frantically getting addresses and the second session that was already underway. It's like, how do we get in? It's like, oh, God.
your email, Larry, is what, because I didn't have the link. So the email you sent me would help me get in because I did not have the link and password.
So that makes me LMWTP.
That's right. That's your new
Or no,
role,
maybe
Larry.
instead of the plan. No. It's LMWTLI. Login. Anyway,
Good to see you all.
Whatever.
How y'all doing?
can't have a little humor today.
This group is about humor.
It has to be, right?
Don't
has to
have
be.
it, you don't belong.
Here comes our Liz, so now we're really cooking.
Room attention.
Oh, yep.
Let's leave it now.
Time to straighten up now.
But we all need to be patient. with-
Patient. That word is not in my vocabulary.
We got the lovely Joy this morning as well.
I've been getting
Yep, here comes Joy.
Liz, you're really almost
Yeah,
silent.
it's hard to hear you, Liz.
Oh, you can't
You're-
hear me?
Uh-uh.
Well, we can, but yours is very, very quiet.
You're very low.
Liz, I would be more than more than happy to come over there and help you out, set up.
It is,
equipment.
this should be,
There you go.
Way better. Way better, Liz.
I have this little mic and I have to change it to USB. But in
There
any
you
case,
go.
I'm getting all kinds of crazy emails. I didn't get a link.
Yeah, right. Well,
What do I
yes,
do?
they did. I just
know.
said it.
Good.
I won't be attending. I didn't get a link. And it's like,
Said that.
oh my gosh, really? Are you serious? Is this the hill you're gonna die on? Anyway,
Mm.
oh well.
In a nonprofit, maybe we need to talk to them privately.
Yes. Well, I guess he's not attending. So anyway, all upset.
His loss. It's his loss.
And he's in a
There's
wad.
John Clark.
Oh
Oh,
my. Now
Good
everyone's
morning.
Now
Oh,
everyone's showing up.
Hello.
John Clark in the house.
Hey, Larry, how are you?
Good, man. There's a name from the past.
Yeah,
Holy
bl-
cow.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, I love your background.
Oh, yeah?
That's beautiful.
Oh,
What is
thanks.
it? The Earth?
Yeah, it's the Earth at nighttime, and then, of course, you got rotary stuff in there. So,
Oh, that's so cool. I think I asked you this. Do you have a green screen?
it's built into it. So, yes. Uh-huh.
Me,
I
I'm
do
just-
too. It's a door and a shelf.
I got nothing. I
I know. Me too. Hey, a door and a shelf.
I guess
Mine's really low tech. It's just my banner, so I don't know how to do the rest of it. So
Anybody who needs a banner, I know someone who can get you a really good banner at a good cost. So
That's right.
Everything we do is a networking opportunity.
yep.
Well, I think to respect everybody's time and schedule today, we should get started. So Larry, why don't you lead us off?
Okay, I will. Well, welcome everybody. I'm glad we all got in here. I know looks like Lou's actually driving. Please be careful, Lou. We are just wanting to let you know that this is the second iteration of our Learn and Lead. On with us today will be Jen Triplett, and then also James Gold is going to get into a few things. But before we get into that, I want to kind of go back to do just a brief review of some of the things we talked about at the last session. And that was like, why, what's the purpose of your organization? Why does it exist? What do you do anything? And what we have found is it is incredibly important that that's defined by your organization. It's not necessarily, and people could care less what you do. There's plenty of people that can find all the services that we all provide here. There are plenty of, I'm just going to pick out people. There's plenty of accountants. There's plenty of sign producers. There's plenty of pet sitters. There's plenty of cleaning folks. There's plenty of insurance people. As I look throughout here, there's plenty of those kind of things where people have lots of options. So you should ask yourself the question, why should anybody do anything with me, and why should they care, right? And you should care because the why part of what your organization's about is the reason why. So as an example, Larry sells consulting, right? Why did I start it? Why should you care? Why does anybody care? Right? So I started it to try to answer the question, why do I do what I do? And my answer to that question is, I do what I do because I want to help support small businesses and nonprofits in the area where I live. Because when they're successful, both small businesses and nonprofits, it makes our community a more viable place to live, grow, be a part of, and it just makes it a better living situation. So why do I do what I do? I do that because I want to see those things prosper, because it makes our lives a lot better. And we need to kind of understand that and think about it. And I think it's important to give that some thought in your organization if you haven't done that, right? I think that's incredibly important. Remember, people don't care what you do. They could care less what you do, or what they want to know is, why do you do it? Because it aligns with the emotional part of why people make purchases. I'd love to take credit for it. But if you look at Simon Sinek, and there's a link that I've sent out to some of the other people in our Monday or our Wednesday sessions, he talks about people don't care what you do, they care why you do it, because it aligns with the emotional component of your brain that helps to fundamentally make decisions. So when that's a favorable situation, people will align with it. It's important to get that point. So I won't gloss over it more than that, other than it is really worthy of your time for your organizations to think that through. I can sell insurance, but so can a lot of other people, right? I'll give you a quick story that kind of illustrates the point. So everybody may know David Orso, the realtor. David Orso tells a story of one time he was pulled over by a police officer, right? Whether he was speeding or whatever he's done, probably was, knowing Dave. But anyway, the officer asked for his license. David handed him his real estate license by mistake. And the officer looked at it and laughed out loud and said, everybody has one of these, right? So he was like, Guys, so think about that. What makes you different, right? People think like that. What makes you stand out in your field? What makes you different? It's important. A couple of things I want you to think about. And it's some statistics that I brought up at the last session. I think it's important to think about it because it's what FontStream found what was important for organizations. And it said the following few statistics, and not to bore you with it, but I think it's something to think about. And then I'm going to turn this over to Jen. 60% of people prefer to give online in North America. Something to think about. Here's what I think is the most important thing. 78% of Americans believe companies must consider their impact on society and not just make money. Every one of us that's got a window here wants to make money. Forget that. That's a given. We all understand that. But 78% of Americans believe that we have to consider the impact on society. So that's why when we say you need to align with something or there's something good, that it matters. And you got to continually to beat that drum. People aren't going to get it at first. Just like if I'd ask everybody here, tell me your why, some people will struggle with that, right? And that's okay. But I think the point is, don't struggle about it after today. I want you to think about it, and that's your homework assignment, right? I want you to think about that for the betterment of you. A couple other things. 70% of millennials, and that is a demographic we all need to be successful, right? 70% of millennials say they'll spend more on brands that support causes. Now, you need to let that sink in for a minute. Think about that. 70% of the millennials, and these are people with buying power, right? If you align with something, they are going to be more inclined to use your services and your goods. An important thing for organizations and really important in nonprofits, right? 65% of the Fortune 500 companies offer matching gift programs. So if you're not asking for a gift program, and there is software out there for you to be able to log this onto your website, like $400 or $500 a year, it's a plug into your website, and they tap in their it's like double the donation. That's the link. I think, Patricia, that's something I showed you. Double your donation, and you plug in your name, and it says, yes, they double. And I'll be damned, you can double that donation just by making people aware, right? 84% of donors say they're more likely to donate if a match is offered. And here's why. I'm Larry Sells. I write Bernie House a check for $100, and there's a matching grant by my company, which, sorry, Larry Sells Consulting doesn't have that. But say I was Verizon or some national company, and they go, yeah, they got a matching grant. I can feel good that I meant $200 to Patty, right? Instead of $100, right? So it's important to note that. And then the last thing I will say is, and we cannot forget this thing, right? This thing is an incredible tool that people are used to. I guarantee you, everybody here has it right next to them. If it's not in another room, it's right here next to you, right? Hold your phones out. Everybody got your phones? Hold them up here, right? Look at that. Everybody has it, right? Here's the thing I want you to remember. 25% of donors donate via mobile devices, and donations via mobile device are up 205%. So that would tell you that if you're doing fundraising, you better consider that as a component, as a way people want to give, and how you reach the millennials and how you reach people. Because if it isn't here and you make me do something really crazy, I'm not doing it, right? I'm just not going to do it. I'm used to this. My wife says I'm into instant gratification, right? Well, yeah, I want things to happen quickly, and here's the effort. So bottom line, the key to nonprofits and the key to any business is understand why you do what you do. The other thing is be fact-based in thinking, right? Do research on your own. If you're not taking the strategic time to think about these components, why you do what you do, elements of the demographics that affect your business and understanding them deeply and intimately, we're missing a boat. And you're missing out on sales, and you're missing out on business, and you're missing out on donations. So know your why, know your people, know your demographics. And with that, I'd like to say, I hope you found that helpful. Everybody that's got a TV screen here that I'm looking at right now, I want you to know your why, and I want you to take time to strategically plan and think about your business in the way others look at you. It's not how you look at you, it's how others look at you and how they find you. So with that, I thank you. I'm going to turn it over to Jen now, who's going to go into some of the tools, and then we'll get into James. So we'll handle questions at the end. So Jen.
All right, thanks. So segueing from the cell phone, it is important to know the tools that are available to you. And one of the tools that we have found helpful, not only for our nonprofit clients, but for our for-profit clients, is the Microsoft Office suite, so to speak. Things that they have, even you can use your phone connecting with like your PC, syncing all of your files, your emails, your calendars, your bookings. It really is a powerful tool. And James is here today to kind of talk about some of the special programs that Microsoft does offer for nonprofits, which includes some free packages. So with that, I'm going to give the floor, virtual floor, over to James Golden, but I do want to quickly mention that we are recording this. So if you don't want your picture to show up, you can just simply put a comment, personal comment to me in the chat, and I can block your face out completely. However, it would be great visibility. So here we are.
Be proud and don't do that is what I would tell everybody.
Well,
But
hello,
I have to offer it.
Anyway, thank you for the introduction, Jen, and good morning, everybody. I'm going to see if I can share my screen here, and hopefully I've got 3 monitors, so it's always make sure I share the right one here.
No worries. Let me know if you need any help with the, you should have permissions. Yep.
And do you see which should see a full blue and white background there? And
all good.
Yep, you are all good.
Okay, so actually move this so I can see my notes here. So I started Golden Consulting 20 years ago to specifically provide services to actually it was to a small nonprofit organization that whose whole mission was on serving the needs of young boys that have been in trouble with the juvenile justice system. And then as they expanded and of course worked with the young girls as well. That's what I started Golden Consulting for, and I worked over the years with other nonprofit organizations, those serving those with mental illnesses and developmental disabilities. And I enjoy what I do because I enjoy serving those whose mission is to serve our communities. And so hopefully I can give you some options and ideas for today, and how you can serve and how to serve your why. And of course, following up on our theme here, the right tool for the job. I'm not going to be able to see all of you at one time, but I'm sure most of you running nonprofit organizations feel that you don't always have the funds available to buy the best software or service or the product that you need for what you need to do. And for the services you are able to attain, how difficult is it to manage? What I run into is nonprofits find this free tool to use for this and this free tool for that. And none of those tools are ever interconnected. You create this, you have all your team members, you create different accounts for each one of them, and you have to give each one a separate password, and each team member has to know a different password for a different service to get the job done. And so that leads us right into Microsoft's 365 plans. For those that don't know, Microsoft 365 is Microsoft's integrated online platform for business and education. It's hosted enterprise class email, it's cloud storage, it's online collaboration, it's Office applications, and much more. And last year, Microsoft renamed Office 365 to Microsoft 365. And so you'll still hear me sometimes switch back and forth, but know that at least for today's purposes of discussion, I'm talking about the same thing. For all businesses, whether for-profit or not-for-profit, communication and collaboration with both internal and external users are easily the most important requirements for success. It's how you reach your intended audience. It's how you reach those you're serving, and but it's also more than just email. It's about presenting your organization's image in the best light possible. That means not just using a free email account from Gmail or Yahoo, but having your own custom domain that others will remember you better. What do you think someone will remember better? jsmith492@gmail.com or jsmith@myawesomeorganization.org? Which do you think will be read more often? Which do you think will get past more spam filters? And more importantly, which do you think will lend more credibility to your organization? And so for the Microsoft 365 basic business basic grant bundle, just like M365's other business plans, it includes hosted email that you can use for your own custom domain, and each mailbox has 50 gigs of storage space. But email isn't the only means of business communication. It's not always the best method of communication. It can be somewhat one-sided, waiting for a reply that may never come. But we've all seen the power of instant messaging, whether it be LinkedIn messages, or LinkedIn Messenger or Facebook Messenger, or apps like WhatsApp or Slack. And so Microsoft provides their Teams app. Let's say you're working on a grant request. With the Teams channel, your team could be chatting back and forth, having a conversation about the document they're all working on at the same time. No need to email the document back and forth, waiting for replies and wondering if you're even working on the same version at the same time. And your teams can be in completely different locations. I don't know. I've heard there's been this work from home thing since last year, but I'm not sure what they're talking about there. Do you? But let's say you want to have a face-to-face meeting. At the click of a button, you can start a Teams meeting. You don't need to purchase separate licenses from Zoom or jump to another platform. And another component is that your files can live in Teams, easily accessible along with the communication for the particular topic or project. But they also might be better residing in SharePoint. Think of SharePoint as your file server in the cloud, but without needing to spend $5,000 for a server on site. And just like documents and Teams, your team can be working on the same document at the same time. For files that will only ever be accessed by you, there is OneDrive for Business, with each user account having 1 terabyte of storage, which is a lot of data. SharePoint is where you put your files that the entire organization or departments need access to, and OneDrive is for documents that don't require any collaboration or others to access. For example, the organization's director might want to keep the spreadsheet of staff salaries in their OneDrive folder rather than on SharePoint for everybody else to see. But you also can share files in your OneDrive with others if need be. And if I have time, we'll talk about the request files feature of OneDrive, which is really cool. And does anyone want to make a guess as to how much this will cost you for this plan? I guess everybody's muted there. Well, this is the best part. This plan is absolutely free for up to 300 user accounts. So unless you have more than 300 staff members, it is no cost to you. Unfortunately, though, the Business Basic Grant Package does not include the desktop apps or the Microsoft Bookings apps, which we'll talk about here in a minute. For most nonprofit organizations, working from web applications is fine. Most of you probably work with Google Apps at some point, and they're used to working only within the web pages. But if you need applications like Outlook or Word or Excel or Publisher, then you can move up to Microsoft's Business Standard Plan. And the good thing is for this, for nonprofits, it's only $36 per year. This is the same package that Microsoft sells businesses for $150 per user per year. Unfortunately, there's no free licenses with this plan, but as you can see, it's quite discounted. But you can add not only your staff members, but you can also add your volunteers and other unpaid staff to this plan. And for even more features, like management of your computers and enhanced security, you can move up to the Business Premium package. And I'm sure you're thinking, I don't need all those extra features, or organizations, or that our organization can't afford that. Well, here's the good news. It's absolutely free for up to 10 users. So if you're a nonprofit organization with under 10 staff members, you can have all the best features of Microsoft 365 absolutely for free. You get the full range of desktop apps, plus all the features we've talked about with Exchange, SharePoint, Teams, and so on. But these are all what I've talked about called the foundation features, and I believe that every organization needs. But I'd like to mention a few other features that I believe are beneficial to nonprofits that most people don't even know about that are included in Microsoft 365. And for all those that are on the call that are not nonprofits, these all still apply to you as well if you're using Office or Microsoft 365. If you need project or task planning, there's the Planner app. And if you need your personal tasks to be tracked, there's the Microsoft's To-Do app. With the Planner app, you can assign tasks to team members. You can get notified of due or almost due or overdue task. You can also create subtasks, assign priorities, start dates, and so on. And some of this, if I get at the end here, we'll actually dive into more online here. If you've ever used SurveyMonkey to send surveys to your audience, or even within internal team members, well, Microsoft has that covered too with their forms application. So you can send surveys, you can send information requests, and again, all included. If you really start adding on to the capabilities, Microsoft's Power Automate app, you can actually create automatic workflows. Like you could have an approval process and send an email when a form submission is received. So a lot of stuff you can automate in the background and not have to do any manual work to once you're set up. If you want more brainstorming type of format, you can use their whiteboard. How many times you go into have a meeting with staff and then everybody's scrambling to take notes or take photos of the whiteboard? Well, with Microsoft, you could put it on a big touch screen somewhere, or project your screen. You can create your ideas on a whiteboard, and then they're saved, so you can go back and actually revise them later on. Scheduling is usually a big issue. Some of you obviously know about the Calendly app. Well, Microsoft also has their bookings app. Instead of going back and forth with trying to schedule a meeting, you can give somebody your bookings link. You can put this on your website as well, and they can book a Teams meeting right with you from that link. As I mentioned, though, this is only available in the 2 higher plans, the standard and the premium plans. It's not available in their basic grant package. There are, however, requirements to meet for the nonprofit discounting pricing. One, you need to be a 501c3 organization registered with the IRS. You must have a mission to benefit the local community, which is exactly what we're talking about today, and what of course Larry pushes for, and I believe in too. You can't use your licenses for your donors or members. So like if you're a church, you can't use it for your members, or if you're donors for your nonprofit organization. You can't share your licenses with other organizations, even if they're affiliated. Each organization would need to be that 501c3 and have their own licenses. And last, you can't have a policy of discrimination. And of course, Microsoft's link nonprofits / eligibility for more details. There are a few other plans, and so some of these plans you can actually mix and match. So some of the ones that maybe not like the business grant one that doesn't include unpaid staff, well, you can purchase other plans, and some of them are as low as $2.50 per user per month. And so with that, I'd like to see if I can take it online for a minute. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can switch screens here. Let me get out of here. And let's see here. Okay, can everybody see my Outlook email one right now? So again, talk about, just to give you a little more online idea. We all know about email. Outlook's the same, but with Microsoft 365, you're going to get more of those enterprise grade features, one of the big things is I've got shared mailboxes here. So if you have like an info at mailbox, and instead of getting to one person or missing those messages, you could actually give multiple users, multiple mailboxes access to that shared mailbox. And everybody would have access to know what was sent, and maybe an email came in and what was replied to. Again, Teams is where you're going to have all your online discussion. You can have chats back and forth. You can store your files here. You can even start doing wikis. You can add. There's other add-ins you can add in here, all again free. I've got one here created to start tracking my assets. But again, within the Teams app, you've still got your calendar, so you can start Teams meeting right within here. Again, it gives you that all encompassing online collaboration that is so crucial to the success of businesses. I talked about SharePoint, accessing files in one place. And forms. Here we talk about with the surveys. If you want to send surveys out or ask customers, for information. Same thing as like a Surveys Monkey, but again, it's all included, and it's all within one platform to manage it from.
Can I ask you a quick question on that? Do you make those questions up, James, or were they already preformed in there?
Nope, I make them up. Maybe it's a good idea. I can do new form, and I can, give my whatever title I want. I can change.
Oh, nice.
I can change themes.
Okay. Nice.
I can do add new, and you've got a choice of questions. Be choice, text, date. So maybe choices. Question one. I'm not gonna get too detailed here, but question one, choice one or choice two.
Okay. Nice.
I can add new and say I want to do text. Well, I can give them a long answer, or I can make it forced to a short answer.
Oh, wow.
So it can be a rather long, and I can make them required. I can make them not required. Once you do your questions, you can change the order. And what's cool is you can actually start adding branching. So I can say, okay, well, if they choose option one, they can actually get a whole different set of questions. And just kind of keep building on that.
Cool. Thank you.
Quite welcome. Microsoft Whiteboard we talked about. This of course works better with the tablet. Come on, stop spinning here. So you can, you can take and, if I want to do a pie chart here or something like that and color it in, I can do some kind of, mind map things or whatever you want to do. But the thing is, you could actually have, like I said, you can put this up on a projector screen, or even better, if you have a large touchscreen monitor, on site, then whatever you're doing here is actually captured for later on. And then you can actually share that out back with team members. Say, here's what we talked about today. Here's the whiteboard, and then share it out with everybody. Talked about bookings a little bit. Same thing. I can have a bookings page. I can open up. So if I can put this link on my website. Somebody can pick a date and time. They can actually specify what staff they want to meet with. Maybe they can add notes. What part of this is how I set up the bookings page, and same thing. Most of you I think most of you that were used on these calls now are used to like the Calendly app, and bookings is the same thing. But if you're already using Office 365 and you're nonprofit, this is completely free to you. And then I shouldn't talk about Planner, did I? Or did I have Planner open? No. Let me go back here for a second. Let's open up Planner then. And just so you can kind of see, I mean, I've got a few apps here because I actually, as a Microsoft partner, I have a bigger plan than some of the business plans. But, there's a ton of apps and add-ins with Office 365 that are available to almost all the plans. But where did my planner go here? So I open up Planner, you know, how many times you have projects you're working on with teams. Maybe it's, you know, might be end of year, maybe you're working on a grant. Well, that's usually a project within itself. You know, so I can create a new plan and give it a name, make it public or private, create a plan. And of course, live demos always have some time here. You know, I can create multiple task one, you know, and I could assign it to, you know, different users. You know, so if you can assign to different team members, you know, actually go back in. Let me it's easy. Probably if I go back to my, you know, I've got a pretty comprehensive project plan here for when I onboard clients to my managed services plan. But within each task, I can have checklists, you know, so I can have subtasks. I can specify date, progress, priority. You know, I think probably everybody online probably sees a ton of online advertisements for Monday.com is a big one now. But again, with Office 365, it's all here. And the best part is, like I said, you saw how easy it was. I can assign it to my current team members. You know, it's all same platform. And then, like I said, there's for my personal task, I can have, you know, Microsoft To Do application. And for both of these, Planner and To Do, there's also a phone app. So I can take these with me wherever I go. Same as with Teams. And some of these, like Microsoft Whiteboard, also has a desktop version of the application. You know, SharePoint, I can actually open the files up on my desktop as well. And so that's all I have. You know, the challenges, I think this Office 365, I think is the right tool for both for-profit and not-for-profit businesses. I think it's a great platform. Microsoft continues to add to it, and I think especially for organizations that are struggling to you know, have a lot of balls to juggle, you know, and find the tools they need, and best serve that diverse range of their customers. I think the 365 is the best way to go. So with that,
James, question. So, you know, I speak as a person that's been very involved with a lot of nonprofits in my day, and a lot of what I would say one trick pony kind of folks, right? So it's like one person is trying to do all this. So the tool is fantastic. I think we'd all agree. But if I'm like not the most technical person in the world, I'm doing wearing lots of hats in my nonprofit. And I come to you and I say, James, geez, I like that, but I can't do this. I don't know even where to start, but I know I need it. You know, how is the engagement with you work? And then give me a ballpark, because everybody's a bottom line person, whether you're a business or an operation. What does it cost to engage James Golden to implement this with some training in my nonprofit or my business? Just a ballpark.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the first part of your question there is yeah, I mean, whether it's any organization I start working with, it's going to come in and I'm going to assess what their needs are. You know, I do believe in having the right tool for the job. And, you know, sometimes organizations, you know, I'm not going to sell them something they don't need, or have them give them something that, because what's the point of giving them a tool if they're not going to use it?
Right.
You know, if they've got a bunch of hammers or nails to hammer, I'm not going to give them a screwdriver. I'm going to give them a hammer. And so it's going to be assessment, and then we're going to work with them to make sure, you know, we're set timelines up and decide, okay, you know, we're going to lay out a project plan and how to put that together. Once, as far as the technical side, once it's in place, I think most of it actually becomes very easy to manage. You know, none of my customers do I ever just leave an alert, and, you know, they always know they can, you know, I'm always here with a phone call or email or text message away to say, okay, well, I have a question about this, or something's not working right. You know, I don't leave them on their own. But I think once they're taught, here's where you go to do this, here's where you kind of do this, I think Microsoft's really made most of those applications quite easy to use within the application itself. Obviously, there's the administrative part, which is more complicated, and that is where I fit in at. For nonprofits, I actually discount my hourly rates. You know, right now I'm about 105 an hour. So, you know, but again, it's going to depend on, some things are going to be project based, and it might just be a flat fee for me to come in. But, you know, it's going to vary because, you know, if you've got 2 people in an organization, obviously it's going to be very different cost than, you know, if you've got, you know, 30 or 40 users in your organization. Obviously one's going to be a lot more time intensive. You know, we're going to do a lot more training, things like that. So.
Well, and so what I heard there, right, is, you know, first of all, it's free. The tool is free.
Yes.
The cost would be based on need via an assessment of the organization, which could let everybody kind of know to what detail they needed to have. And obviously the more complex, the more cost. We all understand that. But it sounds like you could utilize Microsoft 365 and all what they have, and through your overall project analysis in terms of going in terms of needs assessment and all that, determine a cost that would be probably, I would say, affordable by every nonprofit and affordable by every business here. Am I crazy?
No, absolutely no. And it's why I worked with nonprofits over the years is, you know, I've had a heart to serve, and so, I mean, so nonprofits are great in that regard. But yes, I think whether you're nonprofit or for profit, there's always still a cost to doing stuff, you know, and it's whether it's and using nonprofits, the biggest challenge is you don't have enough staff to go around. So the more you can do with fewer people, you're still going to save money at that point. So even if there's somebody's an upfront charge, you know, to get the services on board it and get the application going, the overall time that's saved. And again, when we talk about multiple platforms and a headache of managing multiple platforms, it's, you know, easily cost justified.
I think that you also have to look, if you break down the cost per day, it's about $2.50, something like that, which you quoted. So that, I mean, that's probably what, a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Well, and you know,
black coffee at that.
Right. Well, you know, when I look at people like for example, Liz or Patty Slaughter or Joy Cortina, you know, that are kind of like, you know, they're out there getting it, man. And it's like this, it can be almost, you can be frozen into inaction because it's so much, you don't know how to attack it. And it sounds like, James, you are the answer to that. So I guess for any of the nonprofits or businesses that are on here, James is an expert at this if you didn't notice. And I think what's important is there's a low risk to do this, but I think, you know, when you say, look at the cost to implement it, I think you got to think holistically here. I think it's important to understand what is the opportunity cost if you don't, right? And that is more inefficiency in your organization, right? And that can be complex and also frustrating, right? So, and can stop you and hold you up and not let you be productive. And you find yourself spending more time working on things that there's a tool out here, instead of beating nails in a board with a screwdriver, you can use a damn hammer. And so James, I mean, I get that. And I would say, don't be frightened to make a decision here, right? Don't be afraid to use a free tool. And know that there's some cost to implement it. And I think you may find when you get in, it's easier, as we all have used this the more you use it, the easier it gets, right? And I'm trying to drop the fear factor here and say, look, give it a whirl and you're more efficient. And then look how much more time you'll have to do the things you need to do. Like Patty and Joy, meeting with the large donors and spending time doing that instead of worrying about how your email's getting out of the organization or how do I communicate within my organization. So I think that's powerful stuff, James, from my perspective looking in. And I hope that everybody here listening to this drops the guard and goes, yep, you know what? I got to make a step for my business or my nonprofit to be more efficient. And here's tools to do it.
Yep. If I could add something too, I actually didn't know about all those features, James. I didn't know about the project planning. I just started planning for the parade. We can have the parade this year. So I was using Google. And then I use SurveyMonkey, and I use something else. And, so I've got all these different platforms that I'm using. And what I love about this, it brings it into one platform. Something else that I've been asked to do is to start creating a manual for the chamber. So when I'm abducted by an alien, can come in and take over. And so I started doing that too. And I thought, I'm using Google and, there are all these splinter platforms. So I could bring it all back into Office, which I have and I pay for. But that's really fantastic.
Well,
I can tell you just, sorry,
go
Larry.
ahead, Jane. No, ladies.
No, go ahead.
I can tell you from experience, we just started using Microsoft about 2 years ago, and it has tenfold increased our productivity and the way that we run all of our processes more efficiently, even from like the bookings that we've just started using to the file sharing and even sharing files outside of our organization to other clients, setting up an intranet area where they can upload things and actually view sort of a website looking area where they can look at storyboards, look at navigation things for websites, things like that, download contracts. I mean, it really has been a time saver and money saver. So it's been well worth the return on our investment.
Right. I mean, Jen and I talked in the beginning, like, can we afford to do this? When you're a small business, any extra expense, or especially a nonprofit, you're questioning, can we do this? And I don't know how we couldn't have done it. Like we would not be doing what we're doing right now if we didn't have Microsoft. One of us would be losing our minds, more so than e-learning has made us lose our minds. But
More so than normal, right? I get it.
Exactly.
Right? Well, I think another way to look at it, and I thought Liz brought up a really good point here, right? We live in a world, if we're not careful, of stovepipes, right? Stovepipes that don't talk to each other. So I got Google Docs. I've got another calendar application or a scheduling application. And the next thing you know, your life is complicated because you're juggling all these things that don't connect, right? Here is something that can be, think of it as, and James, correct me if I'm seeing this wrong, but it's still some stovepipes that communicate with each other. So they still are areas where you'll work, but they all communicate across the platform.
Yeah, and there's a foundation there, like I said, between having access to all of your team members in one place, different and like I said, and there I really didn't get into was there the one piece of Power Automate. I kind of mentioned it briefly, where like the forms, you submit a form and you can have the Power Automate automatically act on that form submission. Well, like I've got, as a simplest, like I've got a real simple automation task where I've got my clients' firewalls email me a backup. Well, instead of me once a month taking that backup, manually copying, saving it from my email and saving it to the client's, documentation folder, I've got the automation tool automatically doing that for me. It says, hey, here's an email from this client's firewall, and here's the file, and here's where I need to go dump it at. And so there's somewhat stovepipes, but there's also some, and this work is a little obviously more complicated on the back end side, and where obviously where I can come in at, but you can they really start merging together, and there's a foundation there that really does bring them together.
Just real quick, is that like a scripting that you create, that you can create like anything to do that automatic?
It's
feature?
It's actually very GUI driven. And so there's
James, for the non-computer people, GUI means graphical user interface. So generally a drag and drop.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Right.
But there's pre-canned templates. So basically, so you can go in and it says, okay, well here's a common the Power Automate tool used to be called Flow. So I still kind of go back to it there, but so you can create these flows, and a lot of them are made for you already. so you just have to basically assign them to, say, a mailbox or to a SharePoint folder. But you have a lot of it is all drag and drop, as Denise corrected me on, that you can really use to make those automation tasks work in the background for you.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, you know, I guess I look at this and I'm going, you know, I know some people, I think here in the group might go, yeah, man, that sounds good. But, you know, darn, I'm not quite sure how this will help me, but it sounds like it will. And I would just challenge those people that are maybe thinking that, right? A call to James will set you free, right? And don't be afraid to call him. And it's not going to cost you an arm and a leg to do this, right? It's a free tool. And he's going to work.
I'm going to give you advice, and I'm not going to charge you for that. Just, you know, have a conversation and let's see what your needs even are. So.
Right, but here's what I heard from you, James, too. So once like, well, there you go, see you later, I'm done. No, James is going to be there, right? So he'll be your lifeguard through the process too. So
and maybe
look,
James,
I'm not trying to sell James's business. I'm just trying to tell you as a person that, yeah, I'm hired, right? No, but as a person who deals with nonprofits a lot and small businesses a lot, I see the need could be solved by this. And I'm saying, be bold, don't be afraid. A call can't hurt you, and kick your own self in the butt and do something about this, right?
I was going to say, if there's enough interest, maybe James would be willing to come back for a specific topic at another month, another meeting as well. Not to put you on the spot there.
Yeah, James would say yes, I'm sure. Right, James?
Yes.
There you go. No problem. No pressure, James. All right.
Does anybody have any questions or want to unmute and shoot away?
We did have a question in the chat about, and I answered it briefly, but about levels of security related to customers and non-employees. And you can set access levels for internal and external. I don't know if there's something more that John Clark had asked the question he wanted to know, but answered it.
Well, as far as for some of the pricing for the packages, like I said, and I try to point out, there's some, or for nonprofit, for the discounted packages, there's some you can't have if they're not paid employees, or not, say like board members, you know, unpaid executive staff, like the business basic grant package, you can't include them anyway. But for the higher level plans, the standard and a premium, you can actually bring those people in. But yeah, you can certainly have different levels of security. I mean, you know, with Office 365, I mean, from an administrative point of view, there's a role-based option, you know, so I can have administrators, I can have just the standard, you know, limited permissions users. You know, within SharePoint, you know, you can grant permissions. So maybe somebody has read-only permission to a file while others have full, you know, permission to it. So yeah, you can definitely, within Office 365, you can definitely get very granular in how you assign those permissions. Does that answer your question, John? Or
good.
I have a question. Is there a limit on the number of questions you can ask? Because the free Survey Monkey is very restricted, and it's limited to 10 questions, and then there's certain restrictions within that what you can do. So with this, is it unlimited because you pay for it?
It's to my knowledge, it's unlimited.
Okay.
Yeah. Survey Monkey and like other ones, I mean, because they're giving you a free plan, and you know they want to find a way to okay, they want you to pay for the plan. So
right.
But like I said here, and this is what, again, Office 365, it's all about business tools. They just have to say, okay, well, we're going to discount them for the nonprofit, but you're still getting the full line of business tools that you know.
Yeah.
Well, and the one thing I would add here, Liz, too, is let's remember less can be more, right? So if I'm taking a survey, chances are, and we've all done it, where we've taken one where there's 20 or 30 questions and you hate life, almost done, right? 80% there, right? It's like, and you're worn out. You hate the people that did it, right? So be wary of like less is more here. I think if there are 10 good questions, make them really super good, or 12 or whatever it is, but just be wary of unlimited, because that can like make people not like you, right?
Right.
I will say,
And I'm saying that with all the love in the world.
but Larry, you're speaking to me because I'm one of those guys who will sign up. I will literally stop it halfway through and not even finish it. If
Yep.
when I'm like, I've been on here for 15 minutes, I'm only 60% through. Nope, done.
I'm
Yeah,
out.
you're
Yeah,
right.
I'm
You're
with
right.
you. I'm with
Yep.
you.
But one of the things that SurveyMonkey does is if it's multiple choice, you can only pick one. It won't let you pick more than one. You have to pay for that. So even with 10 questions, you know, you can only pick in
Right.
multiple choice, pick one thing. So
Well,
yeah.
I heard 365 is a better survey option, is what I just heard.
Yeah.
Well, and I'd say too, if you have so many questions, again, kind of what you're talking about. I mean, what I like about the Microsoft forms is because ultimately you're trying to get if you're trying to get certain information. Okay, well, if they believe, think this way, then maybe I want this information. But that's why I like the branching option, because if they only think or answer this way, then I can say, okay, well, let's disregard this whole other chain of thinking here, or train of thinking, and say, okay, well, let's lead them off on this branch, so you can go this way with that line of questioning versus kind of going back and forth trying to get, and because there's too many questions, you're kind of left going, okay, what does this mean anyway? But
right.
Yep.
Right. Awesome.
So James, I have one quick question for you. And I don't know if you can fully speak to this, but there's the Google for Nonprofits suite that we've been using since our start. What do you think is the biggest difference between that and this? Is there just in terms of user friendliness and the syncing between things? What do you find is the biggest difference?
I guess for interest disclosure, I'm not a big Google fan.
That's okay. I had a feeling.
Multiple reasons. One, well, I mean, we are even the Google plan, it used to be Google Apps for Business, then it became Google Suite or G Suite. I think now it's like Google Workplace. But there's an entire graveyard of Google apps that they said, okay, well, we don't like, they don't really help us. So we're just going to discard them. And well, if you're any kind of business for or non-for-profit that you start to rely on that, well, okay, well then they just killed that application. The other thing my biggest issue with Google is they are first and foremost an advertising company. They make their money off advertising. They make no bones about it. And to do that, they scan all your data so they can better target ads to you. The difference in the nonprofit plans with them is they won't target the ads to you, but there's nothing to keep them from still scanning all your data, emails and whatever, to use to still better target, and more advertising. If Google works for you, fine. I still think what I've seen of Google over the years, I've had customers I've moved from the old G Suite and Google Apps, Office 365. I still think it's a foundation. It was started for businesses versus I think Google was more of this, okay, we start with Gmail and just kind of keep adding bits and pieces to it. But I'm losing my train of thought now. I still find the Google apps are somewhat disparate. I mean, it's just been my experience, and
And if I could chime in for a second, I would say one of the bigger problems I've experienced, because we work with Google all the time, I'm currently dealing with an issue with Google Ads, and the help, it's not really there. If you have a problem with Microsoft, I think their help is 100%. And believe me, I'm speaking as a person who was a Linux user on open source platforms for Word docs, and not really Word, but their open source platform, and was a bit of a Microsoft hater. And I'm drinking the Kool-Aid now. And they are absolutely, their customer service, if you need to get on a call and they need to walk you through something, it's hands down unbelievable. And as a nonprofit, you don't have time or even as a small business, you don't have time to spend all this time going back and forth. I mean, so that would be my 2 cents on definitely why it's a better bang for your buck.
Thank you.
I also heard the flag. I mean, I had a flag there about privacy and them being able to use your information for other things in ads.
Yeah, that's another thing that's concerned me, especially as we get into bigger things as an organization. I really want to be conscious of that. Yeah.
And is it difficult to take the Google documents and everything and implement them into Office?
For the most part, yeah, but you're always going to run into conversion. You know, there's always some formatting differences. I mean, you know, if you've got something in a Google spreadsheet and try to bring it in Excel, you know, sometimes it's hit or miss. Word, you know, documents, of course, are I have to laugh because true story. There was an issue with during one of the election lawsuits that there was a delay. One of the I don't know, one of the Pennsylvania suits or something like that, and there was a delay because I guess on Trump's legal teams or something that they were going back and forth between Google Docs and Word Docs and completely screwed the formatting up or something like that. And so they actually asked for a delay in the hearing just so they can get their documents squared away because of it. So
Awesome. Well, James, I appreciate your time today. And Jen, yours too. And everybody that took time to be on this. I'm hoping you found some value in these things. I would say at the very least, fear not, and a phone call costs nothing, right, to James. And I know there's some people here that probably could use that efficiency in their organization. It's something to not be afraid of, right? I mean, if it makes you more efficient, able to do more things, be with donors, work on your business instead of in your business, I think that's some good stuff to do. So Jen, I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to everybody that came in, and we plan on having another Learn and Lead for Nonprofits third week, right? Third Tuesday at 8:30. And thanks for your patience as we're trying to get registration system in process. So Liz doesn't have to do as much work since she's in a nonprofit situation.
Right. All right,
So,
everybody. Well, we're here if you need us. Don't hesitate to call. And thank you all for being here today.
thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Take care.
thank
James,
you.
nice job.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
Really great information.